One stormy night, when Wu Xin arrives home, he finds a mysterious letter on his door. The letter claims that the man imprisoned for his father's murder is not the real killer. The scene shifts to a prison, where a guard is on duty. Suddenly, he hears a noise and quickly rushes to investigate. As he enters the room, he is shocked to find that all the prisoners have been taken down. Just then, he notices one prisoner standing beside him, who swiftly overpowers him as well. An emergency alarm blares throughout the prison as guards rush toward the scene. The next day, people gather in protest, demanding that the prisoner receive the death penalty. Meanwhile, Wu Xin arrives at his office and learns that a major company, Haesung, wants to hire him to write the chairman's memoir. However, the job comes with strict conditions. His name must remain anonymous. He cannot leave the premises until the memoir is complete, and he must surrender his mobile phone. Despite these restrictions, he agrees to take the job. Before leaving, Wu Xin visits his twin brother, Song Soo-hyun. While they eat together, he tells his brother, "I'll be away for a month on a long trip and won't be carrying my phone. If I feel like talking, I'll call you myself." So Hyun reassures him, telling him to enjoy the trip without worry. With that, Wu Xin gets into a taxi and heads to the location specified in the contract. When Wu Xin arrives at the villa, a guard welcomes him and escorts him inside. The entire property is under constant surveillance with CCTV cameras. Security confiscates all his belongings, informing him that personal items are not allowed inside. He is then taken to the security room, where his biometrics are scanned and added to the system's database. Once the process is complete, he is escorted to the main villa. There, he meets Miss Kwon, the caretaker, who tells him that the chairman is away on a business trip and will return the next day. A staff member then guides him through the villa, showing him the common areas. She points out the dining hall, where he can order any food he likes. She firmly warns him not to enter the family members' rooms or the chairman's office without permission. Finally, she takes him to his private quarters, where he will be staying. Then, Dong-grim steps out of the bathroom. Wu Xin is shocked to see him and asks, "What are you doing here?" Dong-grim explains that the director sent him as his assistant. That night, while Wu Xin and Dong-grim talk, Miss Kwon tries to eavesdrop on their conversation. Wu Xin tells him, "You can leave now. I don't need an assistant." However, Dong-grim refuses, saying, "I'm getting paid well to work here." The next morning, while walking in the garden, Wu Xin meets Yoon Hae-so, the daughter-in-law of Haesung. During their conversation, she reveals that the chairman will do anything for the company, even the most terrible things you can imagine. She warns him, "You should leave this place as soon as possible. The more you learn about this place, the more you'll be in danger." The chairman finally arrives and calls Wu Xin for a meeting. He seems pleased with Wu Xin's first impression. While speaking with him, the chairman asks, "You just met Hai Su. What does she think of me?" Wu Xin responds, "Sorry, sir. I don't work like that. If you're looking for someone to do that, you should find someone else." The chairman accepts terms and instructs him to start working on the memoir. Meanwhile, a reporter named Kim visits So Hyun at his office. She tells him, "You must know that if Hwang wins the election, the death penalty will be lifted. That means the person who murdered your father will finally face justice." He looks at her and asks, "What are you trying to say?" She replies, "I believe the murderer was framed. The murder weapon is missing, which means someone must have taken it. The question is, who?" So Hyun, uninterested, tells her to leave. Before walking out, she hands him a folder containing all the case files and says, "If you ever change your mind, take a look at these." Meanwhile, Mr. Choi notices police officer arriving at the gate and steps forward to speak with them. He informed him that an anonymous email was sent to headquarters, revealing his identity as an undercover officer. He glances at the sender's email ID and realizes it looks familiar. After returning to the security room, he checks Wu Xin's book and sees the exact same name written inside. Wu Xin recalls his mother's words about how his father never received justice. Just then, Dong-rim informs him of breaking news. Hwang, the election candidate, has been attacked and stabbed by an unknown assailant. Meanwhile, at the hospital, a man named Lee visits Hwang and warns him, "Stay within your limits. Don't cross the line." He then hands him a box saying, "The chairman has sent you a gift." When Hwang opens the box, he finds stacks of cash inside, along with the very knife that was used to stab him. So Yan struggles to focus on his work as the reporter's words replay in his mind. Unable to ignore them any longer, he opens the file and begins reviewing the case details. Wu Xin enters his room and notices a book placed on the table. He immediately realizes that someone wants to meet him. Without hesitation, he heads toward the forest. Wushin meets Choi, who has been waiting for him. He steps forward and asks, "Did you send the email to headquarters?" Wushin replies, "Yes, I sent the email." Mr. Choi asks, "What do you know about me?" Wushin responds, "You are an undercover agent keeping an eye on the chairman." He then asks, "Who are you and what is your goal?" Wushin answers, "I am here to steal Adamas." Furious, he raises his gun, ready to shoot. Just then, Mrs. Yoon arrives and interrupts them. "What are you both doing here?" Choi says, "I should report this." Just then, the chairman calls them to discuss the incident. During the meeting, Mr. Choi says, "I thought Wushin was looking for someone, which is why I pointed the gun at him." But Miss Yoon interjects, "I didn't think he was looking for someone. Maybe you misunderstood him." The chairman turns to Wushin and asks, "What were you doing in the forest?" Wushin replies, "Sir, I would like to speak with you alone if you permit." Once alone, Wushin explains, "I was just taking a walk in the forest." The chairman takes his words seriously and dismisses him. Outside, Wushin meets Choi and says, "I passed the test, right? Then please stop keeping an eye on me from now on." Choi responds, "I can't say for sure, but I warn you, stay away from Miss K-won. She is suspicious of you." Meanwhile, Dong-rim approaches Wushin and says, "I know you're writing a new book about this family. That's why you're here, to gather information." Miss K-won secretly eavesdrops on their conversation and looks furious. So-yeon and Ms. Kim meet at a coffee shop. So-yeon says, "You got the money to fight against Hwang so that he loses the election." Ms. Kim replies, "It seems you have found out everything about the missing weapon." He replies, "You know the witness testified that there was a fight between Lee Chang-woo and the victim, and then Lee Chang-woo murdered him." Ms. Kim says the witness has trouble recognizing colors. He asks her, "How did you find out?" She replies, "I met him." So-yeon stands up and says, "Let's go. I want to meet him too." Meanwhile, Mr. Choi goes into the forest and secretly reports to headquarters via a hidden phone. He discusses Wushin's plan to steal the diamond arrow Adamas and the next steps. At the same time, So-hyun and Ms. Kim arrive at the witness's house. As So-hyun speaks with the witness, he confirms that the man has trouble recognizing red and green colors. He asks, "Then why did you give false testimony that day?" Witness Kim admits, "I know I did wrong. But Lee Chang-woo also confesses that he murders your father. Now leave my house and don't ever come back." Outside, So-yeon turns to Ms. Kim and says, "He must have given false testimony to protect his family." Meanwhile, Wushin sneaks into the chairman's office, preparing to search for clues. Just as he is about to begin, the chairman suddenly appears, catching him off guard. The chairman demands, "What are you doing here?" Wushin freezes and says, "I come here for an interview." The chairman pauses, then recalls he is scheduled to give an interview today. During the interview, the chairman tells how his grandfather started the company. When the company faces difficult times, the chairman creates Adamas to divert public attention. Wushin says that if I get to see Adamas once, then writing will be easy. The chairman shows him the photo of Adamas. But Wushin insists on how will it look in reality. The chairman says while laughing that if you are lucky, you will get to see it. On the other hand, Mr. Kim calls and reports that So-yeon, the victim's son, had come to his house to inquire. And call goes to Eris Company, where Lee is the leader of Team A who handles illegal work for chairman. Lee gives the order to prepare a plan to get rid of the witness Kim. Immediately after that, Lee goes to meet Hyun-jo, the chairman's son, and report to him that the victim's son had come to witness his house. And he shows the plan and asks for permission to execute it. Hyun-jo says that no one should know about this. Handle it in your own way. Lee gives an order to his man that permission has been received. Stay on standby and we will execute the plan at night. In the meantime, Wushin gets to know that Ms. Eun had sent the letter to him. He confessed to Ms. Eun that he has come to know that she had sent that letter, and asks how did she know that Lee Chang-woo did not commit the murder? She says that she had overheard her husband talking, that the chairman had murdered someone using Adamas, and after that she sent him the letter. Wushin tells her about his plan that he has come here to steal Adamas. Meanwhile, So-yeon is shocked to see the news that the witness Kim has committed suicide. Just then, Kim arrives. Seeing her condition, So-yeon asks, "What happened to you?" She reveals that her parents have passed away. At that moment, So-yeon realizes that she is the daughter of the witness. Meanwhile, Choi meets Wushin and warns him to leave the villa as soon as possible. However, Wushin refuses, saying, "I am not going anywhere. Do whatever you want." Then Choi trying to intimidate Wushin, revealing that the NSI is currently watching his brother. He adds, "If needed, we can do anything to him." Wushin looks at him and says, "You are making a big mistake." With that, he turns and walks away. So-yeon and Miss Kim are on their way to her house when she suddenly asks him to stop the car. An argument breaks out between them, but So-yeon remains calm and says, "First, we need to understand the situation. Let's go to your house and see if we can find any clues." Meanwhile, Wushin meets Choi again and says, "I met the friend who sent me the letter. Now, I just need a little more time." That night, Wushin writes a threatening letter to Ms. Iyun. After reading it, she immediately comes to meet him and demands, "What is the meaning of this?" Wushin looks at her and says, "You have to help me. Otherwise, I still have the letter you sent." He then presses her, asking, "Do you know who committed the murder? Who was it? Tell me the truth." She rips the letter and responds, "If you want to threaten me, at least do it properly." Choi is sitting in the jungle thinking about what Wushin told him. Wushin had shared that 22 years ago a murder took place, and the murder weapon has been missing ever since. He suspects that the Adamas might actually be that weapon. Meanwhile, So-yeon goes to search Kim's house, but he doesn't find any useful clues there. At the same time, Lee's team runs a background check on So-yeon and finds out that he is a highly experienced prosecutor. One of men suggests that they should make a plan to eliminate So-yeon. However, Lee rejects the idea, saying, "If something happens to So-yeon, suspicion will fall directly on us. Let things continue as they are for now." Instead, he orders his man to just keep a close eye on him. During the funeral, the police arrive for questioning. Ms. Kim tells them that her father had grown tired of taking care of her sick mother and ended up committing suicide. Later, Ms. Kwon informs Wushin that Chairman has suddenly made plans to go out with Ms. Yoon. Wushin is on his way to meet Ms. Yoon when Choi stops him, saying he needs to talk urgently. During their conversation, Choi reveals that Haesong is the only company backed by a military weapons manufacturer. Because of that connection, the villa's security system is extremely advanced. Choi then asks, "Do you really believe the chairman is involved in the murder case?" He continues, "The murder happened 22 years ago, which means the statute of limitation is almost over. Even if the chairman walks out and confesses, he still can't be jailed." Wushin calmly replies, "There are still 18 days left before the statute of limitations ends. We can solve this case together. After all, our goals are the same, aren't they?" But then Choi replies, "I can't risk my mission just to clear your doubts." Meanwhile, So-yeon tells Ms. Kim, "The day after I met your parents, they were murdered. That clearly means the person who murdered my father also murdered your parents, and I'm going to find him no matter what." Ms. Kim quietly says, "So-yeon, I'm the real witness. I saw the man who murdered your father." At the same time, one of Lee's men reports to him that So-yeon is meeting with Mr. Kim's daughter. And also a police officer reports him that Miss Kim has confirmed that her parents committed suicide. At Villa, Wushin confronts Miss Yoon and demands, "Tell me the truth. You know who committed the murder, don't you?" Ms. Yoon reveals, "I overheard my husband talking. He said the chairman killed someone, and Lee Chang-woo took the blame for it. That's why I sent you the letter." Wushin tells Miss Yoon that he urgently needs her help. He wants her to find out who recommended his name for the memoir job. When Ms. Yoon refuses, Wushin reveals that he has recorded everything on a voice recorder. How do you think the chairman will react when he hears this? Ms. Yoon tells him, "You should go see the chairman right now." After that, Wushin goes to meet the chairman. The chairman informs him that he's going on vacation with his daughter, Hae-soo, and that the memoir writing will be paused. Wushin suggests I'll resume the work once you return from the vacation, but the chairman says, "After I return, I'll be starting a major new project. The memoir will have to wait until next year." Later, when Wushin returns to his room, Don Grimm tells him, the chairman plans to launch a new project as soon as Hwang wins the presidential election. They're talking about slowly legalizing weapons and starting a firearms business. Wushin confesses to the chairman and Don Grimm apologizes for eavesdropping on their conversation. After thinking for a while, the chairman gives a strict order. Until the election is over, neither of you is allowed to leave this villa. Meanwhile, So-yeon calls a sketch artist and has a suspect sketch created based on Ms. Kim's memory. Once it's done, she looks at it and confirms he's the real killer. So-yeon takes the sketch and leaves immediately. So-yeon heads straight to the prison to meet Lee Chang-woo. So-yeon shows the sketch to Lee Chang-woo and asks, "Do you know this man?" Lee Chang-woo calmly replies, "I've never seen him before." So-yeon presses further, then, "Who took the murder weapon? Wasn't it the man in the sketch who took it?" Lee Chang-woo says, "I don't know. All I can tell you is that I confessed the murder." "Stop lying. I know you've met this man before. That's why you're protecting him. But no matter what, I'll find him." That night, Woo-shin tells Choi, as soon as Hwang wins the election, they're going to start legalizing weapons step by step. "We don't have much time left. We have to finish this before the election ends." Choi responds, "The chairman never gets his hands dirty himself. It's Team A who handles all the illegal operations for chairman. We need to take them down first to gather solid evidence against the chairman." Woo-shin says, "But my father's case is different. The chairman is directly involved in his murder case. Here is the proof." Then he plays Yoon Hye-soo's recording. Choi is completely shocked after hearing the recording. While Woo-shin eats breakfast, Kwon suddenly approaches him and says, "I found a torn note in the trash. It says, 'I have the letter you sent.'" Woo-shin tells her, "So now you're spying on my garbage? If you hate me that much, why don't you just take the person who recommended me straight to the chairman?" Later, Woo-shin heads to the chairman's office, ready for the next interview, but the secretary reminds him that it has been postponed. After Woo-shin leaves, the secretary informed Kwon that Woo-shin came looking for the chairman. Meanwhile, the chairman confides in his son, Hyun-jo, that he's planning to retire and it's time for him to take over. Hyun-jo is stunned. The moment he's dreamed about for years is finally about to happen real. Woo-shin stays in the villa when he meets Yoon Hye-soo. Curiously, he asks, "Why is the room on the third floor locked? What's in there?" Hye-soo hesitates before leading him to the room. She explains, "This room once belonged to the chairman's late son. Don't expect anything more from me. I have no idea where Adamas is. I won't trouble you any further, but please, this must not reach my brother." She looks at him and says, "I can't promise that. You blackmail me first." After that, he leaves without saying a word. Choi heads into the forest and uses a secret phone to contact the NSI. He informs them that they should bring Woo-shin onto their side, revealing that Woo-shin also knows about the plan to legalize weapons and start a firearms business. Choi suggests that if we use Woo-shin wisely, our mission could be completed much faster. Later, Woo-shin meets Choi and asks, "What's the protocol if a fire breaks out in the villa?" Choi replies, "When the fire alarm goes off, everyone has 3 minutes to evacuate. After that, all the doors lock automatically and halogen gas is released." Woo-shin then tells him, "I'm planning to start a fire, so I need your help." Choi says, "This will endanger my mission. I can't help you in any way. If you're going to do it at your own risk." Lee visits the prison guard and asks, "So Yeon came to meet Lee Chang-woo, right? What did they talk about?" The guard replies, "He was saying something about protecting his partner. And yes, he brought a sketch with him." Lee gets a call from one of his team members, urging him to come to the office immediately. When he arrives, they report that So Yeon brought a forensic sketch artist to the funeral home. Lee immediately understands that So Ha-yeon is working with Kim Seo-hee, the real witness. With her help, he creates a sketch and takes it to Lee Chang-woo. Don Grimm receives a tense call from his mother. She tells him, "Your father's condition has gotten worse. The doctor says he needs surgery immediately." She informed him that ever since he was moved to the VIP room, his health started to decline. Don Grimm rushes in to confront Miss Kwon. "You made my father's condition worse, just to use me against Woo-shin." "Yes. So what? Loyalty is more important than your father's life? Now you decide what matters more." Later, Choi arrives to meet Miss Kwon. She asks him, "You've been spending a lot of time with the writer lately?" Choi replies, "I told you I'm watching him closely. The moment I find anything useful, I'll let you know." She tells Choi, he's not just here to write a memoir. He's digging for the truth about the chairman's late son. Right after the conversation, Choi meets Woo-shin. He says Kwon suspects you're planning to write a book about the chairman's late son, and she suspects someone is helping you. Woo-shin replies, "Then we start the fire fast. You're with me, right?" Without hesitation, he begins explaining the plan to Choi. Meanwhile, a Team A operative informed to Lee that Kim Seo-hee just visited Lee Chang-woo. Furious, Lee orders his men, "Forget about Lee Chang-woo. Get rid of the other two." As So Yeon heads to meet Kim, a Team A agent follows him quietly from the blind spot. Ms. Kim tells So Hyun that she recently went to meet Lee Chang-woo. So Hyun warns her, "You should stay away from this." But Ms. Kim replies, "I bait myself. Now, we just have to wait. Sooner or later, the one behind all this will reach out us." Then, So-yeon tells her that he's received an anonymous message on his phone. It says, "Let's meet tonight," and he is going there. Whoever it is, I need to find out what they want. Meanwhile, Dong-rim heads to Kwan's room, ready to do whatever she asks. But when he arrives, the room is empty. She is gone. As planned, Choi triggers the fire alarm. Panic spreads as everyone begins evacuating the villa. Meanwhile, Woo-shin slips into the chairman's office, hoping Adamas might be hidden somewhere inside. After a quick search, he exits the office and steps outside just in time. But Dong-rim rushes up to him and says the chairman's secretary is missing. Without hesitation, Woo-shin runs back inside. But all the doors begin to shut automatically, and halogen gas starts flooding the villa. Woo-shin struggles to breathe. He rushes to a window and tries to break it, but the glass doesn't budge. Just before losing consciousness, he notices all the gas being funneled toward the ceiling. Yoon Hyasu alerts security. The writer is still inside the villa. Stop the fire suppression system immediately. The security team quickly shuts down the fire suppression system. Everyone rushes to Woo-shin, who lies unconscious on the floor. Amid the chaos, someone quietly steals his recorder. That night, Woo-shin slowly regains consciousness. Choi is there, watching over him. Then Woo-shin tells him, "I found it. I saw the halogen gas being pulled into the ceiling. Adamas might be hidden there. We need to move fast and finish the plan." That night, while Woo-shin sleeps, Dong-rim approaches him bedside and whispers, "I'm sorry, Mr. Ha." With guilt in his voice, he confesses, "Kwan is blackmailing me. She wants information about you, and that's why I took your recorder while you were unconscious." Meanwhile, at Kim Seo-hee's house, a man from Team A silently breaks in. But instead of Kim, he finds an NSI agent waiting for him. The agent moves quickly and apprehends him on the spot. Meanwhile, So Ha-yeon arrives at the location mentioned in the message right on time. There, he meets Kim Seo-hee. She tells him, "We caught the man who was following you, and now I want to introduce you to someone. Come with me." They get into a car and head to a new location. When they arrive, So-yeon steps out and sees a group of people waiting for him. He looks around and asks, "Who are you all?" One of them steps forward and says, "I'm Kang Hyuk-pil from the NSI." "Ah, you're from the NSI." Woo-shin meets Choi and says, "I'm stealing Adamas tonight." Choi looks startled. "How are you going to bring it down from the ceiling?" Woo-shin replies, "There has to be a hidden switch, probably in the chairman's desk. If I find it and press it, Adamas might lower automatically." Choi nods. "All right. First, I'll report this to the NSI. They're currently dealing with another issue. And your brother is already at their safe house." So Hyeon stares at Kang Hyuk-pil, frustrated. "Why should I join hands with you?" Kang remains calm. "I already told you everything last night. Let me explain again. We made a deal with Woo-shin. He's inside the villa posing as a ghostwriter. His mission is to steal Adamas." So-yeon raises his voice. "You're going after the real killer in my father's case, right? Then why didn't you tell me your true motive last night? I want to know what you're really after." Kang replies steadily, "Kwon JQ. If the missing weapon is Adamas, then the chairman might be involved. We even have a recording from Hae-sung's daughter-in-law as proof. That's why we believe the chairman could be tied to the murder. We're on the same side. I believe we can solve this together." But So-yeon shakes his head, unconvinced. He grabs Ms. Kim's hand and tries to leave safe house, but an agent blocks the exit. So-yeon snaps, "Let us go." Before he can react, another agent steps forward and strikes him at a pressure point. So-yeon collapses unconscious. Choi takes Woo-shin to a secure location where a hidden phone is kept, so he can convince his brother to cooperate with the NSI. As the call connects, So Ha-yeon immediately urges, "Come home, Woo-shin." But Woo-shin stays calm and replies, "We still have 16 days left. If Adamas really is the missing murder weapon, we can file charges against the chairman. This is our chance." So-yeon pushes back. "And what if the chairman isn't involved? What then? I have a witness who saw someone else that night, not the chairman. I'm trying to figure out the link between that man and the chairman. But for now, come home." After hearing conversation, Kang instructs Choi to postpone the plan to steal Adamas for now. Meanwhile, the NSI interrogates a captured Team A member, trying to extract information about the man in the photo. But no matter how intense the pressure, the agent stays silent. At office, one of Lee's men reports, "Your brother hasn't made contact since he went to Kim's house." Suspicion rises in Lee's mind. Someone's helping So-yeon and Kim. I can feel it. Assemble a rescue team. We're bringing him back. So-yeon tells Kang, "Let me handle the interrogation." Inside the room, Soyeon faces the captured agent. "I'm not here to torture you, just answer the questions I ask." Soyeon asks him few pointed questions, carefully studying his reactions to each one. The interrogation seems done. As Soyeon turns to leave, the agent suddenly asks, "What time is it?" Then starts laughing loudly. Soyeon steps outside and says, "They work as a team on every mission and move together. When he asked me for the time, it wasn't random. He's waiting for his team. He's buying time for backup to arrive." Meanwhile, Wushin tells Dongrim, "I'll arrange for your father to be moved to a safer hospital." But Dongrim replies, "He's already been transferred." "I asked Miss Yoon for help." Hearing this, Wushin immediately heads to Eun-hee-soo. He says, "Thank you for helping, but I'm transferring Dongrim's father to a different hospital." But Dongrim overhears their conversation and rushes in, and says, "No, my father will stay in this hospital." Haye-soo looks at him and says, "If you listen to Kwon again, your father might not survive next time." Then she leaves with the chairman to attend a party. Frustrated, Dongrim asks him, "What's going on between you two?" "I want to know the truth." Then Wushin tells him that he is going to steal Adamas. Dongrim says, "What? Are you insane?" Later, Wushin meets with Choi, who shares a crucial information. There's a button on the chairman's desk, and it's never been used. It might bring the Adamas down, or it could trigger the security alarm. No one knows what it does. Wushin says, "This is the perfect time." The chairman isn't here, and Ms. Kwon is going out too. He says, "I'm going to steal Adamas tonight." But Choi interrupts, not without permission from headquarters. But Wushin doesn't listen. He's already made up his mind. After Mizo finishes her final check, the maids are no longer allowed on the third floor. Taking advantage of this, Wushin quietly enters the chairman's office. He searches the desk meticulously and soon discovers a hidden button. He hesitates for a moment, then presses the button. A beeping sound follows, and the Adamas begins to lower from the ceiling. But when it comes down, Wushin is shocked. Adamas isn't there. He immediately suspects that Miss Kwon has already taken it with her. Meanwhile, Soyeon comes up with a bold plan. To break the agent's silence, he decides to stage a fake anesthesia injection. He enters the room with a syringe and tells the agent, "If anything comes to your mind after the anesthesia, blink to signal us." But what he doesn't realize is that the NSI has secretly filled the syringe with real anesthesia. Without knowing, Soyeon gives the injection, and the agent slowly begins to lose consciousness. One of the security guards notices that Wushin is in the chairman's office. Later that night, Wushin meets Choi and tells him that the Adamas isn't there. Choi replies, "All right, let's wait for the report from headquarters. They've managed to capture one of the agents." Meanwhile, Soyeon tries to wake the agent, but he doesn't respond. That's when he realizes NSI gave real anesthesia instead of the fake one. Unknowingly, the agent had a GPS tracker hidden in his pants. Using that signal, Team A locates the NSI safe house. Soyeon storms over to Kang and demands, "Did you give me real anesthesia?" Just then, an agent rushes in and reports, "A group has breached our perimeter. They're taking down our agents one by one." Kang says, "It's Team A. Issue code black and evacuate immediately." The team captures Kim Seo-hee and holds her captive near the NSI safe house, assigning one agent to keep watch over her. But Kim outsmarts him and makes a daring escape. As she flees, she runs into Soyeon, and together they manage to evade the agents and escape safely. Meanwhile, Lee and his team search the building and eventually find his brother locked in one of the rooms. Lee orders his men to take him to the hospital. While searching the area, an agent discovers a laptop left behind. He plays a video showing Soyeon injecting Lee's brother, but suddenly a countdown timer flashes on the screen, indicating a hidden time bomb inside the laptop. Seconds later, a powerful explosion rips through the building, but everyone manages to escape in time. Choi tells Wushin that the NSI safe house has been attacked, which is why no one is answering their calls. He suggests they should leave the villa, but Wushin insists, "We should wait until we hear from the NSI." Meanwhile, the doctor informs Lee, "We couldn't save him. He lost too much blood." Lee asks, "Soyeon has a brother, right? Go get him. I need to return the favor." The next day, Choi tells Wushin that they've finally made contact with the NSI. "Everyone is safe, including your brother Soyeon." Wushin then says, "Good. I'm heading back to the chairman's office. There's something I need to check." Soyeon calls his assistant and asks for all the files related to Lee Chang-woo's case. Due to the threat from Team A, he and Kim Seo-hee are currently staying at Wushin's apartment. They have no idea that an agent is monitoring their movements and secretly listening to their conversations. Meanwhile, a member of Team A informs Lee, there's still no trace of Soyeon's brother. He's completely off the grid. During a background check, they uncover a shocking detail. The man who was murdered 22 years ago isn't actually their biological father. What's more surprising is that no one else seems to know this. Lee starts connecting the dots. Wushin has vanished ever since Soyun began investigating his father's case. That can't be a coincidence. Lee concludes Wushin and Soyun, they're both working with the NSI. Choi tells Wushin, the drones only take 5 minutes to charge. You need to get in and out of the chairman's office within that time. As the drone comes down for charging, Wushin heads to the office. He flips through the book and notices a passage about a famous designer. With still time left, he decides to search the chairman's room, where he discovers a hidden passage leading directly to Ms. Kwan's room. On his way back, a security guard stands waiting at the door. He tells Wushin that Miss Oh has called for both of them.